When a narcissistic mother turns your family against you. Crazy, crazy. Just testing this out. Thought I'd do a Reddit doom scroll, check out some of the ridiculousness that's going on out in the world. When a narcissistic mother turns your family against you. I didn't understand it growing up, but now in my 40s, I see the pattern clearly. My narcissistic mother didn't just abuse me privately, she shaped the entire family's perception of me so they would see me as, quote, the problem child. My aunt would warn me, quote, "You're going to push everyone away and not have family." My cousin would say, "Be nice to Auntie Lyric." I assumed they came to those opinions on their own. I internalized it. I believed something was wrong with me. Only later did I realize what my mother was telling them behind closed doors. Something is wrong with Suni. She needs mental help. So that kind of seems like gaslighting right there. She goes on to say, "I'm concerned about her behavior." And that's, she's paraphrasing the mother. "Can you talk to her? I don't know how to help her anymore." She framed herself as the worried mother and me as unstable. I finally asked her once, "Did you tell everyone I was crazy?" Her response still haunts me. "No, I told them you thought they were crazy." All right. That single sentence revealed the entire strategy: reversal, manipulation, credibility, destruction. And who knows if that was an actual legitimate strategy or not, anyway. Um, she also provoked reactions intentionally. She would gaslight me privately, deny conversations, twist meanings until I reached a breaking point. Then she'd make an innocent comment in front of my family, knowing it would set me off. To them, I looked irrational. They saw the explosion, never the slow burn that caused it. Years later, I realized the purpose: to isolate me, undermine my credibility, and maintain control. If she made me look unstable, no one would believe me if I ever spoke the truth about her. This is one of the deepest wounds, when the people who should protect you become flying monkeys because they trust the narcissist narrative. It makes you question your own memory, your sanity, your character. Being turned against your own family feels like being erased. If this has happened to you, how did you deal with it? Well, it's kind of crazy. I think that's also like this thing that psychopaths actually do, which is kind of interesting, right? They call it like it's like the psychopathic drama, and there's this narrative that has been explained, or that has been created among family members, among colleagues, and it's really like tightly woven into the how the psycho actually operates. So they go around literally intrinsically, or um, intricately, I should say, going around weaving stories and narratives, and it's kind of gaslighting, but it's done over like a really broad range of people, interactions, and situations. And so sometimes you'll meet a person and you like have no idea what's going on. The conversation seems kind of weird. There's kind of like maybe an understanding behind the conversation. To you, you're just having a normal conversation. What ends up happening though is the other person's responding to you based on this other narrative that's actually taking place. So it's curious. You walk away with a scratching your head, wondering what's going on, and you have no idea. But it's because people with kind of a personality characteristics go ahead and they've created a false narrative. So you're battling something you don't even know about. There's something different, and you have no idea. You are totally blind to the situation, and so you're disarmed ultimately. So when you're dealing with people who are like that, whether they're narcissistic, whether they're psychopathic, you have no idea. I mean, you're kind of doing your own diagnosis there at that point, but yeah, you have no idea. So, and you can't really combat it. I think what ends up happening is it's a losing game, right? What ends up happening is, you're fighting with conventional weapons. You're using like your own reason and your communication. What's up against you? Some of the things that you're up against the fact that people already have a bunch of notions about you as a person. So we all go around in our own lives, and we are, people have already judged us for something, for one thing or another, whatever it is, right? You are a complex thing, and what ends up happening is everyone has their own idea about you, and so you're battling that alongside whatever kind of narrative the narcissist or the psychopath has kind of come up with, and it's kind of hard to overcome. You really can't. And I think what ends up happening when you start talking about it explicitly with people, I think people kind of think you're crazy. They think that if you start using the language, right, if you start talking about the fact that the person is maybe a narcissist or the person is a psychopath, and they've done all this manipulation, it could really be hard for people to actually understand what's going on. Hey there, Marlene Dietrich, how are you doing? Thanks for the comment. I appreciate that. Good to be back. I took a little break. So just continuing the chat here. I'm trying to go with some like Reddit, reading Reddit stories. They're kind of cool, actually. I love reading the stories and different things that people are going through, and so it's kind of cool to talk about that. Right? There's a lot of people go through a lot of different things, and it's not it's not even too far removed from who we are right here, right? Within our own kind of arm's reach, so to speak. We all have these touch points with the personality disorders, and especially over the holidays. People will be coming. They've come back through from Thanksgiving. They've had a few weeks and gonna hit the family back up again over Christmas time, and it can be horrible for a lot of people. A lot of different things that people have to deal with, and a lot of these subjects come up. They will go to these Christmas dinners, and what'll happen is that people will be like all excited. You know, People that are neurotypical, let's just call them that, or maybe people who aren't so narcissistic, who are not so disposed with some kind of pathology, they'll show up, and they'll just want to be having a regular Christmas dinner with family, and that comes with seeing friends and family, exchanging gifts, and also having dinners. And but what ends up happening is that some people take the stage. I'm not sure if you've ever been at a family dinner where maybe you're the quiet one or not, but something happens, right? There's maybe that uncle who sits down and he seems to want to hold court because that's just his modus operandi. That's how he operates, and so within that is all kinds of interactions and dramas that have happened in over the course of the year, and maybe you're not privy to those things, and you're not, you might think you know somebody, but you really don't know them. You might think you know what their personality is, but you don't know really. You know their personality maybe when they're around you. And yeah, you're saying you're not fond of Christmas either because of your mother. Yeah, that could suck, right? A lot of people, like I mentioned, the average person maybe wants to go and have dinner and just enjoy it. There's just a positive thing going on here, but sometimes, like the person in this story here, this Reddit story, what if the mother is narcissistic, right? And what is you've got to go there, and are you on the defensive? Are you just is it stressing you out? Are we talking like we're just bracing for the PTSD to happen, and just hoping for the best, All you want is like a Christmas dinner, say hi to some people that you're some friends and family that you love, and then open some gifts. But a lot of people with personality issues, it's not really they just kind of commandeer the whole thing, right? And it's rather unfortunate, actually. So yeah, that's horrible here. All right, I'm going to just continue my doom scroll here because I'm going to just continue to read some stories. Maybe if anything kind of sticks out as relevant to you, just let's go ahead and keep talking about that. You think your mother's borderline. All right, and tell me about what you think about that. You've got this. There's this push and this pull, right? There's this devaluation, and then there's this elevation based on the moods There's some chemical aspects I think associated with borderline, but it can tear you apart, right? So there's this intense love, and then also this intense devaluation and like annoyance or hate or whatever, and that could be horrible. So during those like more manic states, it's one thing, which leads to its own kind of uh, complexities, right? Manic doesn't mean excited and good necessarily. It means you're kind of open to behaving in impulsive kind of ways. How does that come out with your mother? How's that expressed in your relationship when you're dealing with someone with borderline? And then when you get down, that has its own kind of thing as well. So in either case, it's horrible to have that in the first place, but it's also hard to deal with somebody that's like that. And also when you're borderline, I mean, relationships, they could, because of this elevating and devaluing, people get ripped apart. Relationships can get ripped apart, right? And you don't know where you stand from one second to the next, and it can be really traumatic and just devastating. So yeah. Let me check out some more stories. All right, this is a red flag. All right. So my girlfriend, 24 female, still keeps photos of her past relationships. My girlfriend, 24, and I, male 24, are classmates in university, and we have been dating for a year now. And she is a very sweet girl. She's also helped me a lot in developing my personality and academically a lot. But one day I was going through her phone and discovered a folder where there were photos of her past relationships with her ex boyfriend. Nothing explicit, but like romantic, holding hands and all. And I was quite disturbed by it. When I confronted, she became aggressive and said that I need time. I mean, I guess she needed time. I don't know what to do. I really love her, and I am writing this post. My fingers are literally shaking, and I'm ignoring her calls. What should I do? That's interesting. So, I mean, in one sense, there's like a history that has been there that maybe she doesn't want to forget. In a kind of keeping track of your life, that's kind of interesting. But there has to come a point where those don't have any meaning or value, or it's in the past. So, like again, on one hand, a picture is a token of a time that's had come and gone in the past, and is it wrong to actually just get rid of those forever, and then that's it? I mean, it's a digital age. It's not like there's a photo book, that maybe she's keeping. I don't know. That's a difficult one. But generally speaking, you have to let go of the people who are in the past, especially if you're in a relationship, and that could always come back to haunt you. Sometimes you do. We do see people where they keep one hand on the last relationship, and then one hand on the next relationship, and then that's not good. You want someone to buy in entirely when they're with you, and you want them to love you and be with you, and to have the other person not even be of any consequence, really. It's supposed to be in the past, and that's that. This is kind of interesting. So how long did it take for the mask to drop once you got married to the person? So this person, the poster, was doing some research and finding various responses in different posts, but wanted to get a better general understanding. For context, this is about my friend who just married someone that raises red flags for me. She says, I have my own 20-year history with being diagnosed with bipolar, so I saw some of the signs. I posted this in the narcissistic abuse, but with a different intent. This one seems to be better asked here. So she met a guy in late March, and he love bombed her, bought her stuff, got her to move in within 7 months. Future faking, the whole shebang. She just found out she married him within 2 weeks. So beginning of 2 weeks ago. So beginning of December. I know of the issues she had with him early on. He said he had ADHD and some autism, for example, which she found funny, as she is AUDHD, and this seemed unique. So also, like, mirroring that kind of thing, that is kind of a tactic some people use. Again, I don't know what's going on in this situation. She felt like it was too good to be true early on, and sometimes when you're feeling that way, often it is. He had an ex call on him in their third date, which she found odd. Okay, that is, I guess that could be odd. Military veteran. Okay. Had an ex fiance and a son. Sounds like she is the one who ended it, and he didn't have shared custody of the son. She was moving states and he wasn't fighting the move, which is a major red flag for me. So almost 9 months and now married. Question for those here: with this timeline, if you had similar trajectory, how long did it last? So there's just simply not enough information to go on here. So I just think that's love bombing is weird. It's not uncommon for people to get married after like 9 months. Really, I mean that's could be perceived as that as kind of a short kind of period. Don't know we don't know how old the people are in question. He's older because he has a son already, but with his one previous marriage. If someone has been divorced, I mean that's generally a red flag, not entirely on its own, but because with multiple marriages, with multiple relationships like that, the likelihood of something kind of the likelihood of something pathological going on is more likely to be true. So if someone's been married once, doesn't mean that can't happen. But if they're married multiple times, if you found someone who's been married like 7 times, then that's a clue to there's something possibly going on there. Let's check out the other. This is just a random stream. I have this is a feed from my Reddit, and I have no idea what's on here. Checking it out. Ooh, unhealthy relationship question mark. Okay, let's check this one out. All right. I recently left an unhealthy relationship where my partner and me were friends for 8 years, though we decided to date in the fourth year in that total. Okay. So friends for 8 years and then started dating in the fourth year. Okay. I left the relationship due to her extreme jealousy and would kind of manipulate me about anything I did, which caused me to lose friends for her preferences. Every time I confronted her about problems or issues I had, she would get upset and either ghost me or give dry messages to me until I apologized due to me being a people pleaser. The relationship was getting more and more toxic to the point my mental health was shit. Me and her were planning something. I was going to go visit her at her state. Throughout the thought that I had of going, my mental health was saying, "Do not." So throughout the thought that I had of going, my mental health was saying, "No, don't go." Okay. So while thinking about it, you something was telling you not to go. So I had to go to a friends and family to discuss about what I felt, to see what they thought, and all of them stated that I did not need to go. Pretty much, do not go at all. Near the due date where the flight goes, I decided to end my relationship with her due to how bad my mental health was because of the relationship. I got to the point where I told her on the day that it was due for the flight that I wasn't going because I, for once, was going to focus on myself for health. That's what mattered to me, my health. This, however, before was brought up to her before, where I did tell her what I was thinking about not going because of how my mental health was. So in the end, I ended up confronting her and told her that I wasn't going to go. All right, just seems like somebody who's just having some issues, kind of just making the decision to be close to a person ultimately, and but they're having some mental health issues kind of on their own, so not really able to put both feet firmly planted into that relationship. So the original poster here says that She's 26 and her boyfriend's 21. Wants to go no contact with my family. Wow. Okay. There's lots of relationships where the people don't get along or where people have estranged themselves. Let's see what the deal is going on here. Um, and of course, again, around Christmas time, that can be harder. This has to do with relationships, though. So the original poster, female 26, comes from a rather toxic family. My mother, in particular, and what's interesting is that she's admitting right off the front that it's a toxic family. My mother, in particular, is very difficult, and I've already experienced a lot of pain because of her. I still love my family and cherish the relationship we do have. A few months ago, I moved out, and since then, the relationship with my parents has noticeably improved. Okay, that's great. That's great. My boyfriend, though, 21, and I used to visit them often and had a good time most of the time. Last week, however, I had a big argument with my parents. The conflict was triggered by my brother's girlfriend. She and my brother have been together for about 2 months, and I don't really know her well yet. I've been a bit cautious around her, but I have never said anything rude to or about her. Now, my brother and I got into an argument about something that he did. At some point, I removed myself from the situation to cool off. After I left, though, his girlfriend started crying in front of my mother and told her she felt uncomfortable because of me. This then escalated the situation significantly and ultimately led to the argument between my parents and me. Important to add, my brother was not present during any of this. Of course, we don't know at all about how the original poster actually responded. During the argument, my parents said some very hurtful things over text. Later on, they backtracked and apologized. The situation affected me a lot, so I decided to take some distance from my parents for now, even though my family is toxic. I still love them. Both of my parents are deeply traumatized and lack self awareness, which may explain parts of their behavior, but obviously does not excuse it. My boyfriend's reaction, however, has been very extreme. He says he never wants to see my parents again, doesn't want to attend any birthdays, wouldn't want them at a potential wedding, and even says that if we have children one day, they should not have any contact with my parents at all. This hurts me deeply. He says he wants to protect me from their manipulation, but at the same time, he completely ignores my feelings and wishes. I would be okay with him not coming along to casual visits anymore, but especially for holidays and birthdays, I expect him to at least make an effort. We're now at a point where he says we should break up if I can't accept this. I still hope that with some time and distance, he might reconsider and become more relaxed about the situation. But honestly, I don't know how to handle this anymore. When I think about the future he envisions, basically no contact with my parents, I feel sick and start crying. Of course, that could be horrible. My boyfriend and I are also deeply religious and have Catholic values. His stubbornness hurts me even more when I think about the values we're supposed to share. My question is, how do I approach this in a healthy way? And is there any realistic way to get my boyfriend to reconsider or soften his stance without dismissing my own needs? Or do I have to accept that this may be simply a fundamental incompatibility? So, what's interesting is that, you know, she says that the family's toxic. And so we don't know the extent to how toxic that actually is. And so the if the boyfriend is like not pathological and he has some values and he has some ethics, then it just follows that maybe we don't know how strong the toxicity actually is, so we don't really know. But he could be actually protecting her from the parents, and we don't know exactly really what was said and the manner it was done. It could be like something that the original poster thinks is like horrible, but, like, typical for the family, and so she's accepted it, but, it could be that when an outsider sees this, they could be like, "What the hell's going on?" And, this is not normal, and this is not functional, right? So this could be, like, a dysfunctional situation. So, I think there's limited information here, but, if the boyfriend's protecting her from a dysfunctional situation, then, that it could be the case, and in that case, it could be something positive ultimately because there's a protecting kind of thing going on. I think a lot of people have difficulty kind of they're unsure of themselves when it comes to estranging themselves from their family. So it's kind of almost taboo, right? You're supposed to do your best to kind of get along with your family, and no matter what, it seems kind of you're just brought up like stick with your family. Blood is thicker than water, all this kind of stuff, and it almost gives like a carte blanche to your family to do whatever and the hell they want to do, and that's not cool. You got to like have lines that are drawn. When you're younger, you don't know what lines where the lines are necessarily, right? You're still going on with when you're young, you just accept your family. This is the way it is. But there, when you start to develop and you become aware that there's a world outside of your family, and that you have to kind of be aware of your own boundaries and your own ethics and make those decisions for yourself, you kind of you come up against your family's ethics, your family's values, and so in some cases, when there's a toxic relationship involved, then you have to kind of maybe make a decision as to whether or not you're going to keep going back to that dysfunction. And sometimes the answer is that you shouldn't tolerate it, or maybe you've had such a horrible relationship uh, with your family, and you're just so used to it. You keep butting your head up against that wall, but you got to draw the line, because as horrible as it seems, you might come to pass where you need to actually just estrange yourself entirely from your family. But again, like I said, you don't know that. You don't start out your life thinking that's going to be the case. So time after time, or incident after incident, you become aware, and you start maybe paint. If you're very insightful, you start painting a picture, and you start asking yourself, why is my mother or father like this? Why do I have to keep being around this? This is not a normal relationship. And so you have to make the call. If you accept the dysfunction, and you accept the toxicity, but you end up having a situation where you're just, again, like I talked about Christmas earlier, you just keep going, you just keep postponing the inevitable, because you just, interaction after interaction, you come back, and you're just waiting for the next time that the dysfunction takes place. And so you go back, and then you ask yourself the same question after you come back this time: what the hell just happened here at my family's house? Holy shit. And what do I do? What's going on here? You're trying to dissect it, and you're trying to understand it. But sometimes when something's pathological, there's not really much to understand, other than that it's pathological. And if you're dealing with someone with extreme personalities, if they end up being ultimately pathological, it's these things are often enduring, and there's not really possible for you to fix them, so to speak. So you're stuck in a way. And especially with narcissistic person, you have to the best way is, they call it gray rock method, and that is kind of just to stay away, and that way you're out of harm's way, really. So you can't be injured, right? The less tie-in you have with your family in that regard, then then the less you can be injured and manipulated. And so you have to be careful, but and everyone has to make that call on their own. All right, let's check out some other ones here. Narcissistic parents. What's something people romanticize that actually ruins lives? Jealous mom. Or let's check this out here from narcissistic mothers. Jealous mom. I'm 22 and living with my single mother. All right, the single mom. The relationship between her and I hasn't always been the best. I always felt like she was the villain rather than my mom. That's pretty wild. As of lately, she's been acting very jealous. My friends tell me she has an unhealthy attachment to me. That's why she won't help me look into college or for a car. Right. She always downplays my accomplishments, says that I care about my friends more than her. uh, criticize criticizes my clothing choices, becomes irritated when I mention I'm going on a date, and belittles every romantic partner I've ever had. Lately, I've been talking to a guy I really like. He's successful, and we both have a lot in common. Ever since I started talking to him, she's been treating me different. She can't just be happy that I met someone who I genuinely like. Last time I had a BF and brought him home, she said to him, "Are you texting another girl?" In front of my whole family. It was ridiculous. I don't know what to do, and I don't know how to live with this because I have nowhere to go. I work and that's about it. I just need some advice because I refuse to let this woman break me down. All right, that's pretty insane. The thing is, you when you're living at home with your mother, I mean, you have no control, and so you're at a time in your life where you need to have some control. You're about to step out on your own, maybe, and life can be tough. So you are definitely in a weird situation. I think mom is definitely jealous. I mean, it's just the two of you in the house, and she maybe hasn't let go of you yet. You're still, you're still 22 years old, and it's possible that she has an unhealthy attachment, I guess. And the reason why she won't help you look into college or look for a car because college takes you away from her, the car takes you away from her. So this seems a rather passive aggressive way, actually, of holding on to you, right, and not letting you branch out. So she downplays the accomplishments, which is not cool because that's keeping you down. And she's kind of making you feel guilty by telling you that you care about your friends more than her. Well, there's going to come a point where you're going to maybe care about somebody more than her, right? And that could be a potential boyfriend. And this being 22 years old, this is precious time for you. You can't ever get this time back. So it's important that you start maybe thinking about yourself because you know now is kind of the golden time for you, and it's all kind of in terms of evolutionary speaking, your value decreases over time, likely in that sense. So it's important that you make right decisions now, and you because you're meeting all kinds of people who are probably going to be doing amazing things in their life, and they're just at the beginning of that whole epic. So it sounds like she's beating you down by criticizing your clothing choices. When you're going on a date, well, she's kind of telling you who she is, right? She's saying she's becoming irritated. So psychologically, is she maybe she's afraid, maybe she's fearful, maybe she's alone in the world too, and so she has all the fears about uh, what's happening with her future, and it would be very healthy for her to imagine a future where you are not with her, and that maybe she is with someone else as well. So with regard to like texting another girl while just hanging out, and yeah, she's kind of trying to demonize him and to make it come across like he's a bad dude. It seems. All right. Am I overreacting? All right. Am I overreacting? My boyfriend told me that I am the devil. What the heck? Last night, my boyfriend, 29 male, she's 23 female, woke up in a really bad mood. It was 12 a.m. He said he went to bed at 6 p.m. and we had a small unrelated argument before bed. Okay. He woke up unhappy. I was fine. I haven't slept at that point, but I was in a good mood and happy to see him awake. I tried to talk to him. He ignored me, eventually telling me he's in a bad mood. I said, I'm sorry, and asked if there was anything I could do. Then he doesn't talk to me for 5 minutes and randomly starts talking again. He asked me if I ever think about him and how I ruin things he likes, such as exercising and playing this one video game. For context, we used to exercise heavily. He had us on a really strict under 500 calorie diet, and we would also walk 2 to 3 miles and do other exercises like squats or and lifting. This was shortly after we first met and being online. I So things have changed since then. It just stops abruptly, and I don't remember why. That was 2 years ago. He says he's not in the same mindset that he was. Um, all right, just seems like a little bit of an immature relationship, to be honest with you. Nothing too profound going on. All right, here's one. This is under relationship advice. Boyfriend who's 32 won't propose to me. She's a 30 female, and I am embarrassed. My boyfriend is 32 of 3.5 years, won't propose to me. We've been dating for almost 4 years, lived together for almost two, bought a house together this year, got a dog together, but he doesn't seem interested in proposing. I haven't asked him directly, like, when are you going to propose? Because that seems rather desperate and kind of sad. I'd like it to be a surprise that he plans himself because he wants to, not because I forced him to. But it's getting to the point I don't know if he'd ever do it on his own. I've told him I want to get married, just not specific timelines. He's not good at planning anything or giving gifts. Everything's always spontaneous and last minute. I really don't see him ever buying a ring and proposing. His family has started asking us about getting engaged to uh, to us quite often. He always makes a joke about it and moves on. I always feel very humiliated because I can't get him to propose to me. I hate being just a girlfriend at this point. I know they all mean well and would be happy to see us get married, but the comments really start to hurt because I don't know if it will ever happen for me. I know he loves me and I love him. He already committed to me in a lot of ways. So I don't really understand why marriage would be that much of a bigger step in our relationship, but I guess it is for some people. I always felt women who beg for their man to propose are kind of sad, and now I am one of them, and I feel pathetic about it. Any advice on how to bring this up to him without feeling incredibly desperate? Um, I think what happens is that you have to kind of you have to kind of let him know how you feel and what your expectation is, I think, of when you're in a relationship, right? So some people get married after 1 year and some people get married after like 10 years. So I think mostly we don't, when we meet people, we don't really state that very explicitly. And so I think that how's he supposed to know? Maybe he should you should definitely have a conversation with him. I mean, if you can't have a conversation about that, then that would be horrible. I think you should be able to have a conversation and just to tell him how you're feeling and to tell him the expectation, especially if there's a time. If is he does he ever want to get married, first of all? If so, then there should be a corresponding timeline maybe attached to that. And more importantly, though, I think she should actually have her own timeline. And so if it's important for her to get married and she's not married, well, then she needs to draw a line in the sand and actually, when that time comes, maybe time to move on, because if she wants someone to commit and they haven't, then that's possibly a reason to kind of maybe leave. Am I overreacting for leaving a date early after he wouldn't respect my boundaries? I met a guy at a bar on my birthday. He was very attentive, bought my friends and I drinks, and asked me if he could take me out the next day. I said yes and give him my number, as I didn't feel he was weird or anything, so why not? We decided to see Avatar. I actually really have been waiting to see the new one and was super excited because there was a time gap before the showing. We spent about 2 hours talking beforehand. Um, During the conversation, I had told him clearly that I don't hook up on first dates, that I'm a virgin, and that I don't sleep with people casually. He said he understood. Once we were in the theater, he immediately became very handsy, touching me, trying to kiss me, and constantly being in my face. I was uncomfortable and I wanted to watch the movie. When I asked for space, he said I was overcomplicating things and that he was bored. Then he suggested we leave the theater and go to his car. At that point, I felt uneasy because I had already communicated my boundaries and felt they were being ignored. I decided to leave even though the movie had just started. Now I'm wondering if I overreacted. I understand that some people expect cuddling or making out during a movie date, but I was clearly out of comfort. Yeah, totally. Just if that's what happens the very first date, what the hell do you think is going to happen afterwards about boundaries? That's horrible. I think that's I don't think you're overreacting at all. You did doing the right thing, and if you're explicit about what your expectations are, then they should respect that. Anything other than that is just straight out disrespect. Am I overreacting? Am I overreacting with telling my partner he's not welcome to join my family and I for Christmas celebrations a day before Christmas? The poster says, a few months back, I caught my partner cheating on me. He hadn't done anything physical yet, but there was evidence of sexting, exchange of personal pornography, and many flirty texts between multiple women on dating apps with the intent to go on dates and have sex. His only hurdle was not being savvy enough to work out a way to meet up with these girls without my knowledge. I picked up on this sudden change of behavior of being on his phone all the time and moving away from me on the couch to text like a madman. When I confronted him, he showed me all the messages and broke down telling me how much of a piece of shit he is and how he's taken me for granted, etc. We had a week break apart whilst I processed all this information, and the whole time he kept love bombing me and telling me how much he loved me. I was pretty set on ending things as I've saved up enough for a house deposit and don't want someone who disrespects me and cheats to be moving into a house I've saved up to buy on all on my own. When I came back home, he showed me he blocked everyone and deleted all the apps, promised me the world, and said he's learned his lesson and will never do it again. I stupidly gave him another chance as I always try to see the best. Fast forward to last night. I'm wrapping Christmas presents and getting excited to celebrate with my family and his. I get off the phone and his mom about plans for his family, and he starts freaking out about not buying a single person a Christmas present, and that there's only one more sleep until we start celebrating. He goes on to say he just keeps buying stuff for himself and wants to save the rest of the money. Wow. For going overseas in August. He asks if I care if he just doesn't buy me anything this year and put his name down on all the cards for gifts I got for both his family and mine. He's had the last 3 weeks off work, so I know he's had time to buy or even make a gift for someone. I know he has a lot of savings too, so he's not broke. And yes, I know Christmas isn't all about presents, but the lack of effort to put towards anyone but himself really rubbed me the wrong way. So last night I snapped and I told him he's not welcome to come to my family's Christmas gathering, and I won't be attending his family's Christmas gathering. Apparently, I've absolutely ruined his Christmas, but I'm just so done. After him cheating on me, the least he could have done was put a bit of effort in to show he actually loves and cares about me. To me, it shows a total lack of respect and absolute selfishness. But now I'm worried I've taken it too far after sleeping on it. This is kind of like, yeah, kind of complicated. I think that. I think you up to the point where you found out, they hadn't bought anyone gifts. That's kind of weird. You think someone would be on their best behavior after being caught cheating and come trying to come back around and kind of prove to you where they are in your relationship. Um, yeah, I mean, it depends. How long you've been together as well. That's another aspect. I'm not sure if it was indicated how long this relationship has been going on for, but um, definitely, I think you made the right decision. because at this point, with the limited information, you yeah, I think you don't really know who this person is. And when I first started reading this, I thought maybe you should. Maybe you were kind of overreacting a little bit but after reading this, I don't really get a sense that this person is like buying into who you are. You're not on the same page at all. I mean, I know someone who's in a situation where there was an argument between siblings, and they thought they had worked everything had worked everything out, but Christmas came along, and it turns out one of them wasn't decided not to exchange gifts with some of the other people, and it was a real head scratcher. It was kind of like everything was supposed to kind of go back to normal, but this person wasn't fulfilling, part of the Christmas obligation, so to speak, by buying the gifts and making it normal. So this seems particularly weird. There's definitely a bunch of red flags here, and I think now maybe you didn't make the wrong decision. So I don't think you're overreacting. Do you ever take pleasure in influencing others? It might come off as edgy or corny to some, like a teenager, but I love manipulating others. There's no reason or nothing to gain off of it. I just feel good influencing people, getting them vulnerable with me, and to a point where they like me and have a bit of an unconscious form of submissiveness to me. Even better when they like me to the point of uplifting my ego. I don't have NPD, but I do have a bit of some narcissistic traits. Most of us do. How do you feel about this? Well, if you're explicit enough, if you are explicitly manipulating another person, that's definitely not a good thing. And it starts off by saying nothing to gain from it, but at the same time, he says that he gets them they get vulnerable with him to a point where they like him, and then they have some kind of submissiveness to him, and then where they uplift his ego. So the thing you have to gain is the uplifting of your ego. You haven't you just contradiction here in this post. So someone actually is benefiting it from it, and they need that, right? That can actually be narcissistic, right? That's like narcissistic supply. You're doing this because maybe on some level you have a knack for getting people to like you, and you're good at that. And when people like you, they kind of you get a sense that they feel good around you, and the things are awesome. And but at the same time, you can go ahead and abandon them. Help me understand my sister's antisocial personality disorder train of thought. My sister, 33-year-old female, is diagnosed with bipolar disorder, but clearly has antisocial personality disorder traits at the very least due to her lifelong pattern of violence and attempting to murder me. And the poster here is 35-year-old female. I have never heard of her acknowledge my pain or utter words sorry. I've been low to no contact with her in adulthood. I broken up by attempts to visit that actually devolve into her attacking me when I'm shining in some way or for some minor disagreement. Me asking her not to interrupt me, disagreeing about some detail from our childhood, borrowing her mascara today when she let me borrow it yesterday. As a child, she pushed me off a balcony when she was 10. Wow. I think because I was smiling, happy, and kicking my feet. So she just pushed me backward to try to kill me, I guess. That's interesting. Everyone around is usually stunned and no one ever knows what to do. So I sort of suffer alone. She has strangled me multiple times in adulthood, attacks me with kicking, hitting, verbal abuse, attacked by my former boyfriend with shards of glass, drawing blood. And one instance of knowing at work where of one instance I know of at work where she bit a fellow coworker and tore his shirt, supposedly because he was slacking at work, which is a great reason to attack someone. All right. Um, a lot of impulsive actions, it seems like there, but we know, it's true. Like bipolar personality disorder, you can be impulsive, but also antisocial personality disorder has that same aspect here. Also, given the age, around 35 years old, it should be kind of waning. Usually, a lot of people with antisocial personality disorder, they burned all their bridges by that age usually, and they're kind of maybe not thriving, but definitely not as horrible as they were in their teens and early 20s. So all this makes sense to me. My sister is clearly a horrible person who was enabled to be violent. But what I don't understand is a couple of things that happened more recently. During the last attack, the last time I saw her, she tore off my shirt and grabbed my boob. Ooh, what is that about? I assume both she and my mother are repressed lesbians, which is why they're so violent and miserable. Is this a sexual assault? And if so, what is the reason to escalate this? I don't remember her doing anything sexual to me, although she has verbally said some weird stuff to me when she's attacking me and wants to insult me. Anyone have an understanding of what this is psychologically? That's horrible. 33 years old, that's really, really weird. That's, definitely pathological. Another thing has happened after this last attack with the grab. I snapped and got severe PTSD, realizing this will never be fixed with her. I sent a bunch of angry emails and texts to our mom, and I also used, Amazon to send boxes of crickets and maggots to their house as a gift. Anyway, she and mom teamed up with lawyers to send me a cease and desist, and then they attempted to take out a restraining order against me, which I believe failed. She lied about me and was accusing me of trying to sell their house and other falsehoods to paint me in a bad light. She said I was sending her anti suicide literature, which is so funny because I would never do that because I feel like I would rather send her pro suicide literature, to be honest. This world would be a better place without her. Um, so yeah, you're dealing with someone who's problematic, and I think that I guess by sending something like that to them is kind of not a good thing to do. If this behavior bothers you, then you should be stepping away from it. Um, you know, they don't. People with antisocial disorder will not stop necessarily if there's a restraining order. So that's, but also someone with BPD, these extremes of mood might, you know, they might restraining order might not mean anything either, and these extremes of behavior can be brutal. So yeah, I think staying no contact is what it is at this age. Though you're not talking about someone who's a teenager, right? So these your sister should have, if she's had any interactions and touch points with healthcare, there should be something very clearly identifiable here. And you're saying that she is diagnosed with BPD, but your diagnosis is the antisocial part. So I think it's probably someone who's bipolar, and then you're kind of maybe stuck reeling from some of the antisocial aspects. I mean, you kind of want to label the ASPD aspects, but is this person, parasitic? Do they are they irresponsible? Are those other aspects that go on with antisocial? Do they have those things? It sounds to me here like it's just the violence aspect that's you're using to focus on for the qualifier for the antisocial personality disorder. Let us continue to doom scroll through Reddit. Just trying to find a good one. All right, here's one. Let me see here. All right. Is it normal for people with antisocial personality disorder to actually deny their traits? My boyfriend has always been very open about the fact that he has antisocial personality disorder, and let me just see. Sorry, I'm just looking up something. Yeah, they are scary. Sorry about that. So, is it normal for people with antisocial personality disorder to deny their traits? My boyfriend has always been very open about the fact that he has antisocial personality disorder. But whenever, and I mean every time, I talk about the things that he does to others, he denies or rationalizes everything. Even if I literally see or hear it with my own eyes, it's not really that bothersome, but it makes it hard for me to understand him. It's kind of unfair because he often says he likes to know how my brain works because I have narcissistic personality disorder. It took both of us forever to open up, but I feel like it's a majority only me that does. It took us both forever to open up, but I feel like it's majority only me that does. Okay, so she's open to talk, but he's kind of closed off that way. Um, she says it makes me spiral um, because of my own issues. If I see little things, like recently, I've been thinking he never lets me apologize. Always says he's sorry, and that he is wrong and I'm right solely because he's catering to my narcissistic traits. I don't find that as a problem because we don't have enough serious conflicts for me to be annoyed by it. But it is low key manipulative, and I don't want to bring it up because I know he's going to deny it. Will I ever be able to guess? Uh, to fully understand him as time goes on, or should I just accept he will never fully share? Is me asking or showing himself how he's probably making him uncomfortable in some way, or does it just take years and years to openly acknowledge these things? Well, again, I don't know how old the people are here. Um, if she was narcissistic, really deeply narcissistic, she would not even detect that. I think she probably just like it, but she's being says she's kind of aware of the manipulation. So that's it. And I see no evidence like of hugely antisocial traits here from the boyfriend. Generally, whether or not you have antisocial personality disorder, you don't want to. Um, you don't you don't want your personal, your negative traits about you to come to light to people. You're kind of protecting those, right? And be kind of, why would you be around if you're with your boyfriend, why would you be around discussing, his negative traits anyway? That seems kind of peculiar, right? If this person is truly antisocial, then they've probably done some pretty horrible things, right? They've been deceitful, they've lied, they've whatever, they're irresponsible with their jobs, with their relationships. Maybe they've had a lot of touch points with law. So I'm not getting any of that from here, right? It's just you're just talking about someone who's actually denying or rationalizing the things that they've done. But so you can't just go into a relationship and start bitching about in public about your boyfriend. I mean, in general, if the person probably wouldn't like that, whether or not they have antisocial personality disorder. So yeah, that's it pretty much. I don't see any other evidence of that. But if the person you're looking with any relationship, I think you grow, and I think that you share information and you share more and more about each other, and you understand more and more about each other. Hopefully, he doesn't isn't that manipulative in the long term because it'll actually be a problem, right? If he's manipulating you that way, and that's just very like basic manipulation. There's no real benefit. We're talking when you talk about antisocial personality disorder, you're talking like about people manipulating you so they can get jobs or get money or get some kind of status in their life or something. Just kind of someone mildly saying, conceding that they're the problem isn't that huge of a deal right now because I mean, is the person wrong? Maybe they are wrong and maybe they're right to apologize. But over time, I think you end up getting closer to the person that you're with. And if these traits truly are pathological, they should come out and you should be able to detect them and then make a decision on whether or not to stick around with that person. That's right. Antisocial people are scary, Marlene, for sure. They're truly, legitimately scary. Like, they're scary in a way most people don't really understand, right? So when you go to a prison, a large percentage of the people that are there are, clinically antisocial. That's the kind of people ultimately that are antisocial. A lot of people I don't really think understand what that means. Also, in today's world, a lot of people actually they their cities kind of allow antisocial behavior to go on. So, I mean, I can't imagine being a teenager right now and observing what's going on in the world and understanding what antisocial personality disorder really is, because they might suddenly make it political and then actually, um, you know, accept antisocial behavior as just kind of normal, and it's not. If you're breaking a law, then that's antisocial behavior. So, where some of these cities and companies or whatever have like normalized certain behaviors, then that's scary. So, and those people would not know what antisocial behavior is because they're mixing up regular behavior and antisocial behavior, and they really have no clue. So super scary. Oh, this is interesting too. So, antisocial personality disorder and homelessness. Recent studies in the US suggest that antisocial personality disorder is significantly overrepresented in homeless populations. One study found that about 26% of current unhoused individuals meet the criteria for ASPD, compared to that to the general population, where prevalence estimates range from zero point 0.6 to zero point 0.3. I think that's taken from the DSM actually directly. Main findings reveal that positive associations between poverty and relationship dysfunction, lifetime suicide attempt, and homelessness in the ASPD and BPD models, comorbid BPD and ASPD, respectively, were associated with higher odds of past year homelessness. Findings underscore the importance of poverty, etc. Um, so this person ultimately is saying, I rarely see discussions around ASPD and homelessness on this subreddit. So I'm curious what your thoughts are, observations, and experiences are based on the findings above. How might ASPD appear to play out differently in environments like shelters or encampments? What structural changes, legal, housing, mental health access might reduce homelessness risk for those with ASPD, and what overlooked factors might exacerbate it? So, I mean, that's super interesting. I think what ends up happening is that you have to look at comorbidities, right? So it's not just antisocial personality disorder. I think that there's just likely other like mental health issues, more like psychiatric um, health issues, and so that's what you're likely seeing. So normally, you know, after being bad for a little while, going through the antisocial state, you can get there's lots of help out there for people to kind of, you know, pull a leg up and to get housing and to get jobs. There's definitely a lot of help out there. I think antisocial people are often actually really good at because of their deceitful nature, actually kind of like swindling or like talking their talking themselves into a job somehow. I mean, a lot of people, I've heard stories about, maintenance people at apartment buildings, that kind of thing. Even if you end up getting like getting a job washing dishes or something like that, sometimes antisocial people can be quite persuasive, and so they can actually, convince somebody to give them a job or to give them access to money in some kind of way so that they can get into a house. But what ends up happening, I think that obviously, if you've burned your bridges when you're an antisocial personality disorder, I see how you can be on the streets, but that would just be, I think, a short-term thing because someone who's antisocial will still have their cognitive ability and ability to reason, and they would still know what they need to do to kind of move forward and to do what to do to get into a building, to get into housing, to get a job. They know that they would need to do this, and it would be so painful to not be in that situation that they might, even if it was in a midterm kind of medium term kind of situation, that maybe they will get a job for 6 months and then they can get into a place that way or go on welfare. I think when you find people that are homeless, you get into a different situation entirely. Well, I think you have people that are psychiatric and who are also maybe have psychiatric aspect to their mental state, and that it's dysfunctional in some kind of other way, and that there's just also another violent component to that. So there's maybe I'd look at comorbidities. So I mean, if this poster is saying that there's like 26% of people are antisocial, that makes a lot of sense. But the overwhelming majority of people would have that, or with a combination of some other comorbidity as a factor. All right, this person's looking for advice on how to approach ending friendship with a suspected narcissistic personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder person. Looking for advice here. Any input is helpful. I've known this person for a very long time. They're high functioning, I think, but their symptoms spill over sometimes. They've punched me in the stomach because I was invited to a party. They have bragged about being manipulative and ruined another person's social circle, and they called me and my family member pathetic or weak. I do not trust them and would not care if they apologized to me. They continue to message me even though I have turn down their invitations and rarely communicate. I would typically tell someone that I do not want to talk anymore, but I'm nervous to tell this person. They have physically hurt me in the past and have shared deeply vindictive feelings towards others, and I worry that they will escalate with me in some kind of way. Is there even a point to telling them all this, or does it make sense just to ghost? Um, that's tough, but I think, I know when you're dealing with a narcissist, just gray rocking is the kind of the best way to deal with it. If they don't have any of your possessions, if you're not otherwise attached to them, really just stop talking to them, and that's it. Antisocial personality disorder. If someone's assaulting you, that is like they punched you in the stomach. That's pretty horrible. Again, I don't know the age of the people here. Maybe they could be younger, and just not dealing with their disorders very well. But if someone's physically hurting you, then no matter, drawing the line at that. I mean, if a stranger punched you, you would totally not talk to the stranger. And to the extent that you are reasonable and rational, I can understand you wanting to talk to the person and to reason with them and to tell them that you're ending this, or that you don't want to be together in the relationship anymore. That makes a lot of sense. But when you're dealing with someone with these disorders, they don't really want to. They won't comply in the way that you want them to comply. You're not gonna be satisfied with in the way that you want to be satisfied. So you want like a conclusion that is just not going to happen, and so you're romanticizing it ending one way in a very peaceful way, but sadly, I think the best solution is quite often just to ghost the person and just gray rock the people. Just get away from that. Eventually, time will pass, hopefully, and then you won't need to deal with them anymore. All right, this one in the ASPD thread, parasitic lifestyle. So the poster says, I haven't had a proper job for quite some time, and unfortunately, I've managed to surround myself with people who are willing to support me and my lifestyle. That's definitely can be parasitic depending on the age here of the person. In short, I live from day to day, living off the backs of various people. They all serve their purpose in some way, but fundamentally, I'm dependent on them and lack genuine interpersonal relationships. I'm not sure where this comes from. Maybe it's just laziness. Maybe it's some kind of fear. Maybe it's something else. Who knows? Either way, I want to change that. I think it's time to move on and leave this lifestyle behind. I'm thinking about moving to another city, which inevitably means leaving certain habits behind and starting a new life. So that means I have to get a job and become self sufficient, at least to some extent. But I don't know. I'm kind of hesitant. I guess it's because change is simply uncomfortable. Funny enough, looking back, I've come quite a long way, and I'm still doing whatever needs to be done to maintain that lifestyle, even though it's easier these days. Sometimes I definitely would have been a lot easier if I just had a normal job and normal life, but well, it is what it is. Everything has to come to an end. Um, so yeah, that's again, there's not enough information in this post here, but it seems like he's just living a basic kind of existence in someone else's house, I would imagine, in the basement or something like that. So yeah, so and if they I mean, they definitely need to get a job, and then they definitely need to have some kind of income, whether it's in their city or another city. You still have to do that, and so that's definitely the right step. I think when someone finds themselves in a situation like this, they haven't had maybe a talk with themselves, and they haven't had a strong introspection in a lot of ways. They've just find themselves, as it being the way that it is, as this poster referred to, and so I think explicitly talking about the way that it is a very positive step, and that. getting a job obviously is the next physical step you have to do. So if you need to physically separate yourself from that situation and take you want to be able to stand tall and be proud of what you're doing and your accomplishments, and you absolutely, this person already knows what it is that they have to do, and so they're doing it. All right, I think that concludes this test for now. Thank you, Marlene. I see your comments in there. Appreciate it. And who knows where this will go? I'm not sure if I'll continue doing these reading Reddit streams or not, but we'll see what happens and take it from there. Wishing everyone a fantastic evening and a great holidays, and see you again soon. Bye for now.